Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing something super personal with you, my 20-month fertility journey to conceive naturally and holistically. It was a roller coaster to say the least, and I'm excited to walk you through what worked for me. From functional labs to nervous system regulation and even finding out I have a lazy ovary, I learned so much about my body and what it needed to conceive. If you're on a fertility journey or just curious, stick around and let's dive in, and don't forget to like and subscribe. My biggest takeaway was that stress was wrecking my body. I didn't realize how much so until I ran functional labs that showed me that my body was in a catabolic state, meaning it was breaking down. If stress is left unchecked, it can lead to a cascade of a whole bunch of other issues such as leaky gut, weakened immune system, low sex hormones, and increased oxidative stress, just to name a few of the things we discovered about me. It was a wake-up call that I needed to make some changes. I thought that I was living a pretty stress-free life, very wellness focused, but I would later find out that the mental and emotional stressors I was carrying were the core issues that needed to be resolved, but I'll get to that later in the video. The first 10 months, I'd say my approach was relaxed. I thought just focusing on working out and eating healthy and trying to reduce stress and just have sex more would get me there. Spoiler alert, it didn't. In the second half, I decided to get more focused and really doubled down in understanding what was going on with my body, why was I dealing with infertility, and not only that, just I wanted to feel better. I've been dealing with chronic fatigue and low energy and weight gain for the better part of 2 years at this point, and I just wanted some answers. I was tired of feeling stuck. So in the beginning of 2024, I began researching a way that I could become a practitioner and run my own functional labs. This was because the year previously I had run some labs at a couple important times. One, when I found out that my hormones were completely flat and I was seemingly in perimenopause. This was right at the beginning of our fertility journey. And then a couple years before that, when I had a chemical burn to my eyeballs, I had bleach burn and ran functional labs that showed my body needed a major detox protocol, which I did to help get that ammonia out of my body. So I loved functional medicine and wanted to learn more about it. So in July 2024, I signed up to become an FDN practitioner and began my 11-month practitioner program. Being able to see what was going on with my body through functional labs was completely eye-opening. Doing this program while also on a fertility journey gave me a lot of hope that lifestyle changes and precise supplementation could turn things around for me. If you're interested in me sharing more about my experience pursuing the FDN Practitioner program, let me know in the comments below and I can make my own dedicated video about that entire experience. Another important aspect of my fertility journey was working with a fertility acupuncturist. I began seeing Dr. Jessica early into my fertility journey, I'd say months 1 through 5, and then months 13 through 16 of this 20-month fertility journey. And in that time, I had some really big eye-openers about what was going on with my body. One, we were using a device called Inito, which measures your sex hormones through urine. We were doing that daily along with basal body temperature readings, which before I had my Oura ring was done every morning with a thermometer, which I definitely recommend the Oura ring for that one aspect alone. And then we were also using ovulation kits. And what we found in our time together was that for the better part of a year, I wasn't ovulating, which is essential to get pregnant. So we made some tweaks to my diet. We of course continued with acupuncture, but then we incorporated Chinese herbs. And then I also started incorporating dairy back into my diet. I also did start taking beef liver supplements. So it's hard to say which one of those got me to start ovulating, but I started ovulating again. And once I was, we noticed there was a pattern that I was only ovulating every other month. So kind of figured out that I have a lazy ovary, which cut my chances of getting pregnant literally in half. Another thing I'll say about this is I didn't understand how important cervical mucus is and what a big indicator of fertility it is. I was having no cervical mucus for, I couldn't even remember how long, at least a year. And the first time I experienced it was Christmas morning, let me tell you, as someone who's been trying to get pregnant. If you've tried acupuncture or Chinese herbs for your fertility journey, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments below. So July 24, I signed up for the FDN Practitioner program. program, started learning so much about just holistic wellness, lifestyle changes. And then that October, I still wasn't pregnant. So I decided to go see my OB and go get an ultrasound on my uterus just to make sure I didn't have any blocks in my fallopian tubes. Everything checked out fine there. We did run some labs and found out that my ovarian reserve was extremely low. Anything under a 1.0, my OB refers out to a fertility specialist. Anything under a 0.4 is considered critically low. Getting that news was really devastating. Every month I think I'm gonna be pregnant this month, and you just hear so many reasons why your body isn't getting pregnant. But I always really held on to hope that I was finding this out, and once I had that knowledge, I could do something about it. Also, we found out, which was not a surprise because I knew this through doing the Inito test strips, that my progesterone was low, and we measure this 7 days post-ovulation when it should be the highest. So we knew progesterone was an issue, and that is linked back to stress. Stress trashes our sex hormones. Seeing that show up on a lab, again, just really eye-opening. So I reached out to my girlfriend, Natalie, and she referred to me a book called Eating for Fertility, and it was all about how you can build up egg reserve, whether you're doing IVF or naturally, through the use of certain supplementation and through diet. So I started incorporating more fertility foods into my diet, and one of them was dairy. I would only have it as cheese on like a pasta or something. And I will say, I think bringing dairy back into my diet is one of the major reasons I was able to start ovulating. I also started eating for my cycle, focusing on citrus and cruciferous vegetables the first half of my cycle, and then progesterone loving rich foods like sweet potatoes and pumpkin seeds in the luteal phase of my cycle. At this time, I also just pulled back from any kind of HIIT workouts and just started doing more walking, Pilates, and then some mat workouts. I was just trying to be really mindful of cortisol spikes and trying to reduce them as much as I possibly could. So now we're in December 2024, just a few months away from me getting pregnant, and this is really where I think all the magic happened. I finally got to review all my test results and functional labs that I had done as an FDN practitioner in this program. I had to wait to get to a certain point in the program before I could actually look at the labs that I had done back in September and October. These are not including the labs I ran with my OB. Those were different, and I have those results. So being able to look at the effects of stress, what that was doing to my sex hormones, to my gut, causing leaky gut, H. pylori, suppressing my immune system, really increasing my histamine levels and my oxidative stress. I finally felt like I had answers to what the hell was going on with my body for the last few years. I just felt so hopeful seeing that and talking with my mentor and putting together my protocol, which was primarily just focused on lifestyle changes with some strategic supplements that we used, of course, especially for H. pylori. So I kind of started this in December, but it was also the holidays, so I just started it, just kind of like eased into it. And then in January, I went all in on my protocol for H. pylori, leaky gut, and supporting my hormones. I went to the dentist later that month, and they told me that my gums looked the best they'd ever seen, 0 bleeding, which is indicative of inflammation in the body. So it was really cool to kind of get that immediate feedback because I was feeling freaking amazing. But I did cut out gluten, I cut out alcohol, and then I was eating a low histamine diet, so nothing fermented. Every food I was making fresh, no leftovers. And in that time, I also decided to stop microwaving all my food and decided to give up alcohol for a full year. Going through this program and realizing how toxic alcohol is, it's a poison to our bodies. And even though it's so socially acceptable to drink, the benefits do not outweigh the consequences of putting that in your body, especially on a consistent level. The thing that did it for me was reading a quote that said, after giving up alcohol, it can take anywhere from 6 months to 18 months for your body to fully heal, depending on how much and how long you had been drinking. So now we're in the month of February, which is the month that we conceived. In this month, I was continuing on my protocol. I was feeling amazing, and I decided that there were still mental and emotional blocks that I needed to really address. I have been seeing a therapist for the past year, and there were just some topics that we really needed to dive into. We started weekly EMDR sessions, and if you've done EMDR, it can feel really heavy and intense and just really draining. The morning after my first session, I woke up with so much anxiety, so I decided to double down on my morning practice of nervous system regulation tools, which I think all of this really has contributed to me getting pregnant. But if I had to put it on one thing, I'd say it was the nervous system regulation that I did. I feel intuitively was a complete game changer in getting me pregnant. Every single day for 30 days, I meditated, I journaled, I prayed, I read 10 minutes of a personal development book, and then I created my own EFT script. It gave me a sense of purpose for each day and a vision of the life I wanted to create. And in this month that I did this every single day, I ended up losing 6 pounds. All this pain and grief I'd been carrying from long time ago was still showing up and presently in my body. It also just improved my relationship with Miles, our marriage, my communication skills. And if you're dealing with anything heavy in your life now or from your past, I really recommend looking into EMDR and other nervous system regulation practices. And if you guys want me to do a dedicated video on this, please let me know in the comments below, because I do love this topic. Conception week. So I'm in my protocol, I'm feeling amazing, and then bam, we all get hit with a norovirus. So I work with my functional doctor and we start taking some supplements. 2 were to knock out the norovirus, and the third one was to really just support my body and my energy, and that was NAC, which turns out to be a supplement for fertility because it thins your cervical mucus and helps the sperm live longer. So I was taking NAC. I was also taking higher doses of melatonin because I had to travel to Utah for my mom's wedding, and I was trying to combat that plane radiation. I know it sounds a little woo-woo, but I'm just telling you what I did. The funny thing is that when we were in Utah, my mom is vegetarian, so refused to have any meat in her house. I was probably like a week after conceiving. I didn't realize it. My progesterone levels have been extremely low for a couple years now that I've been tracking this. And one of the best things is to eat beans. So all I ate was beans for like 4 straight days. And I had been told that from a friend the month before that said, hey, I struggled to get pregnant with 2 of my pregnancies. I did the bean diet, and the next month I was pregnant with both of them. I don't know if that wasn't 4 days was enough time, but I think the timing was really perfect. My body really did need that. And a week later, I got the positive pregnancy test. Being able to make this video and share about this journey feels like such a gift, and I'm so, so grateful. Looking back now, I feel that, I was meant to go through this. I was meant to really want to be a mom and really appreciate motherhood and family, and to handle some deep mental and emotional stressors that were going on subconsciously in my body that I wasn't even aware of, that were showing up as stress and impacting my body. I'm so grateful that it led me down this path of functional testing, because now I can run labs whenever I want and to create holistic protocols. If you're on a fertility journey, don't lose hope. Every path of ours is gonna look different, but every step that you make counts. I'd love to hear your story in the comments, and if this video resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more wellness content. I'm thinking about making a video on my favorite fertility supplements, so let me know in the comments below if you guys would wanna see that. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.